All right, guys. Welcome to a fresh hour of First Take. Starting in the NFL, where else? Where Micah Parsons is still without a contract extension. How could that be? Time is running short for a deal to get done before the start of the season, and there remains no contact between the Cowboys and their defensive star. But while Jerry Jones refuses to talk to Micah's camp, he continues to speak to the press. Our very own Stephen A. sat down with Jerry for a one-on-one that will be released on his show in full later today, 12 noon, correct?
12 noon.
Here is a portion we didn't play earlier.
In the spirit of not doing the old mother-dad deal. How many times have you seen the little rascal so clever go in there and mama told him, you're not going to get it. And goes in to daddy, who only sees him after 5 in the afternoon, wants to love him, and says, you can have it, son. You can have that before dinner. And he goes back in and says, Mama, Daddy said I could have it. That's the old mom, dad, been around since the beginning of time. I'm not going to go for that here. That's what's happening.
You're not going for it?
I'm not going for it. No. But we've had a very, very strong negotiation. Now, by the way, frankly, it wouldn't have made any difference what the negotiation was. Guess who has to be comfortable for this to work?
Micah.
And who else?
You.
Hello. There's not room for a third. There's not room for a third. This will be a good one.
Ooh, this will be a good one. All right, Stephen A., what did you think when Jerry said this to you?
Well, on one hand, it made no sense when he was talking about, the mom and dad element, because you're giving the impression he's trying to circumvent you in order to get a deal done. Like he's trying to go around you. No, he's not trying to go around you. He's trying to come right to you. So that's not true. That's number one. But I think that number two, it's like, again, he's holding on. He's holding on to old ways. It's like, I brought it up several times. Said, Jerry, you're approaching 83 years of age. You and I sat here last year, and I asked you, why do you think your organization is so successful in terms of the monetary value attached to it, your business acumen, marketing, et cetera, et cetera? You talk to me about how you stay young. You surround yourself with young people and young minds, and you adjust because you recognize the world changes and it evolves us, and you have to adjust, et cetera. Where's that dude? Where's that guy at? He says, I have changed. I said, really? When did this happen? When did this happen? I can't wait to see it. When did that happen, Jerry? I didn't know this. So you just see what it is. But here's what I always tell people, and it's like, especially when you go to the racial element of it all. Young black man in his mid-20s, 25 at the time, 26 shortly thereafter, because I think he turned 26 in May. And people look at that, heard Bart Scott bring up plantation mentality earlier. One of the things that I do, and I've told this to many, many people, because I have to deal, especially transitioning into some politics stuff, I got to deal with a lot of this stuff. And I tell this to people all the time. I don't expect people who are not black to have black sensitivities and sensibilities. I don't expect that. And I also don't expect older folks to have the sensibilities that they should have with younger folks. You do have people that are rigid, are hardcore, but most importantly, look at the way things have changed and evolved over time and say, damn, I yearn for the good old days. What were those good old days remains to be seen, and that's an open and far more expansive subject than we're going to get into today. But in the end, when you look at a dude, you're approaching 83 years of age, you're a billionaire, you own the team, you cut these checks, not just cash them, and you believe that you have a situation with a dude where you're like, I'm making you the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. This is what I offered you. We had this discussion. You know where I stand. How dare you try to force feed me into a different situation? He's not looking at it the way that it is. And the way that it is Micah Parsons is saying, it doesn't matter what I think or I feel. I'm not the pro at this. David Mulugeta is. That's my agent. I need you to talk to him. I don't give a damn. He doesn't realize Micah Parsons might not give a damn if Jerry Jones comes to the same if Jerry Jones comes to the same conclusion now than he did months ago, as long as his agent okays it.
Yeah.
Because without his agent, He's not comfortable. And I can relate to that because it doesn't matter. Listen, there are legal issues you deal with. I don't give a damn what I think, what my lawyers say.
No doubt.
When it comes to accounting, I got the IRS to deal with. I don't give a damn what I think. I know what my CPA say. Because that's their level of expertise, Jerry, period. That's not how he's looking at it. That's the problem.
Jerry kind of seems in this, how dare he? How he should be not.
No, that's exactly how it is.
Yeah,
You're right. It don't seem that way. It is that way.
So, what do you, as a former player, what's your take from that lengthy conversation that Stephen had?
Yeah, there's an air of placism in the commentary that Jerry is making. And here's the thing, billionaires trying to strong-arm employees, that's nothing novel in this country.
Right.
Nothing.
Okay, but the part that is so egregious, as far as I'm concerned, is that you have the owner of the team impugning the character of the best player on the team. And it happens to be an industry where the employee, the player, is the product. Jerry is suggesting that Micah is going back on his word when it comes to the negotiation. And just to add insult to further injury in terms of the hurt feelings, he's being completely dismissive of the agent, David Mulligetta, in all of this. And that's why I understand why Micah has taken the stance that he has. And the only way that Micah is ultimately going to have a happy ending is if he is resolute in his position to not set foot on the football field until he gets the contract that he and his agent approve of, a contract that he is fully comfortable with.
Tactics. It's all tactics on both sides. With Jerry, it's the idea that you had the opportunity to pay less, but if you want to pay less, you got to pay early. Philadelphia is very good at that. If you want to pay late and drag this stuff out, you're going to pay more, like the Dak Prescott deal, which 1 year later still stands as the highest contract for that positional group, which doesn't happen in the NFL.
And don't think for 1 second I ain't ask him about Dak Prescott either.
I'd have to imagine that came up. I'd have to imagine that came up.
Now, Cece, I actually want to give Chris credit for this because a few months ago you took criticism when you brought up the prospect of should the Cowboys trade Micah Parsons, and everybody thought you were crazy. But now, are the Cowboys better off, CC, trading Micah Parsons at this point?
Yeah, the Cowboys are better off trading Parsons, and it has nothing to do with Parsons' ability. It has everything to do with how Jerry Jones has built the team. And this is a part of the issue that he's run into. My mantra for the Dallas Cowboys is a day late and a dollar more. By paying players later as opposed to doing what Joe said, which is paying guys earlier, the Cowboys have put themselves in a position where they have a top-heavy roster and they have a lot of holes. You look at the offensive line, huge question marks up front. They got to replace Zach Martin. And then, oh, by the way, their starting left tackle, former first-round pick, has been out the majority of the preseason. We don't know who's running the football for the Dallas Cowboys. And at every level of their defense, there's a hole. So I don't know how the Dallas Cowboys pay Micah Parsons and fix all of it. I think this is a situation now where they need to go in the Wayback Machine and go with the Great Trade Robbery Part 2, the Herschel Walker deal that kicked off the 90s Cowboys dynasty, where the Cowboys moved on from the one great player they had and got a bunch of good players. They ended up getting Pro Bowl defensive tackle Russell Maryland. They ended up getting defensive back Kevin Smith. They ended up getting all-pro safety Darren Woodson. And oh, by the way, we got Hall of Fame running back Emmitt Smith, the all-time leading rusher. So moving on from a great player or an elite player at a premium position is not the death knell for a franchise. Quite the contrary. It could be the catalyst for the Dallas Cowboys to get to a point where they could actually have sustained success.
Would Jerry be able to fleece another team, though?
And I think. Well, listen. I think Jerry, whether he wants to admit it or not, is thinking along those lines. Because again, if Micah's going to be resolute, it's not just about the pride, it's also about the practicality of the money that he spent on others. Dak Prescott is a $60 million a year quarterback with 2 playoff victories in his career approaching his 10th season. You need 3 playoff wins in 1 year to win a Super Bowl, if not get to a Super Bowl if you started as a wild card spot. The brother got 2 in 9. 2 victories in 9 years, but somehow you made him the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. And then you're looking at Jerry, and he's thinking about the fact that I paid him and then he got hurt. You're thinking about the fact before I paid him last time, he had got hurt again. You're thinking about the 4 games that Micah missed last year. These are all excuses that he can lean on. Here's the point. If Micah's big time, if somebody calls Jerry and they said, look, man, two Pro Bowlers and 2 first-round picks, give us Micah Parsons, are we sure that he will push away from that? I don't think we're sure because, again, if you've got Dak with a CD Lamb, both of whom you've paid, now you got George Pickens who's coming up, and by the way, is represented by David Mulugeta, believe it or not. So think about that for a second.
This guy represent everybody?
Yeah. The guy's big time. He's got his clientele, no doubt about it. If you've got all of that going on, who's to say you might not do something like that if you are Jerry Jones? Think about that.
I hate the idea of running a professional football team with the mindset of drafting players, developing them into great players, and then can't figure out how to make it work, so we're going to trade them for more guys. Like, you make a good point. The way they've paid the rest of the roster, getting rid of him and then using those resources elsewhere to bolster the team, yeah, I could see how that could work. But does this actually solve any problem? Would trading Micah Parsons solve any problem? The problem here is the owner's approach to negotiating with star talent. It's been a problem each year. Not necessarily in the discussions, which here it's a discussional problem, but last year it was a timing issue, much like it is now. You wait too long. So you can trade Micah, and you can get draft picks and other players. Wonderful. Then what happens when the next big player is up for a contract? Are we going to trade him because we waited too long to get the deal done and it cost too much? It's just bad business to nail a draft pick like Micah Parsons and then get rid of him, not because he's unproductive or a clubhouse problem. He very much produces and he's liked. You just can't make it work. Like, that's the issue they need to solve. It's